Hello, wow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 559 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host, as always. I am Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing all right. The today has been fairly quiet and stuff, but actually, I did end up beating Street Fighter Six's story
Nice.
mode, so I'm happy about that. That way, I'm just gonna finish up some loose ends in that before going on upon something else to play. Otherwise, pretty decent. How about yourself?
I'm exhausted, Gables. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation, and I feel more tired now than if I was at work. So it's been I was up till like 1:30 last night getting all the Xbox podcast recorded, getting that posted. And I had to be up early in the morning because I'm going over taking care of sick doggo this week. So yeah, and I got to do the same thing tomorrow. So yeah, I just not very much sleep deprived. I'm on vacation, but somehow I'm more tired not working than if I was working. But other than that, I'm doing okay. I was waking up today and I'm like, man, today is the last day of like all the big shows, and that's kind of depressing. Like it's always you always have that sad feeling when like you always have a bunch of cool announcements. There's always cool games
Yeah.
coming out. Always get new games getting announced. Um, well, I guess we got the Xbox Extended Showcase, so something cool might happen there. I'm crossing my fingers for the Hi-Fi Rush DLC, but yeah, like I was pretty bummed out because the Xbox Starfield one was pretty awesome. Summer Game Fest was pretty like a kickoff show was pretty cool. Um, like man, that sucks that we're not getting more. Like today's it. And after watching these two Gables, you know what? I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Should we just get into it, Gables?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right, we were here for this time around for the Ubisoft Forward. We're gonna kind of break that down and go game by game. But before we do all that, Gables, how are you feeling? It was like 75-minute long presentation here. First
Hmm.
time back, on a stage, doing this in person for
Right.
Ubisoft since COVID. Um, and how you feeling about how was your I can't talk. It's so late. I'm so tired. How are you feeling, Gables, about this Ubisoft Forward? There we go. I got it out finally.
All right. Well, in a word, I kind of felt kind of bored and at the same time kind of exhausted after watching it because there were some good games that were showcased.
Mm.
I mean, from the visual fidelity stuff from the Avatar game to like the awesomeness that was that Prince of Persia game, even to like some like say Star Wars Outlaws and stuff like that, you know. I mean, there were some good games that was showcased here, but the way things were presented was long-winded, was boring, at some points was fairly cringe, especially with that that dude that made the whole spin-off thing from like that Far
The
Cry
Captain
Blood
Lasers
Dragon.
laser show anime. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cringe that it literally was awful. The jokes that he made were awful. It was so awful that I literally almost fell asleep throughout the entire freaking thing. But honestly, it was between that and also at that point it was a dead center of the show where it's like I felt like I actually did nod off, like had a little
Hmm.
nap or something when like they had the freaking the Crew 3, because the game itself, I mean, yeah, they got all these car brands. They got like the most like some of the noteworthy, like say exotic cars that they got going for this game, and it kind of is sort of like a Forza Horizon style of game, but yet the look, the feel and stuff, it feels like Diet Horizon, Diet Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
essentially,
Okay.
to the point where it's like, well, this is kind of like it feels like a cheap knockoff of Horizon, like Forza Horizon stuff like that. Then yeah, I end up nodding off a little bit towards that, but towards the end of it and stuff, it kind of leveled itself out with the whole Star Wars Outlaws stuff. So I'm like, I really felt like this thing could have been better presented, but at the same point, despite there being some interesting games that were showcased, there were plenty of dull moments and some very low moments. So it's like to me, it felt like a 4 out of 10.
Uh, yeah, I'm like a 5 out of 10. But I'm with you for the same reason. Where like I thought all pretty much everything shown was pretty impressive for the like not everything, pretty much everything. I'll talk about the things I didn't really care for, but a lot of stuff on it's one of those things I say all the time. On paper, you look at what was shown,
Right.
it's really good, but this is something I have complained about for a decade now. Well, the last few years because of COVID, they were doing like UB forward stuff, like digitally. So it was more of a direct than it was what this was. And I used to fucking rant and bitch and complain about their E3 press conferences because this is what they would do is they would show the game, bring somebody on the stage to introduce somebody that worked on the game. Then like I remember one year they literally had a couch and they would sit there and like have this canned conversation, with canned questions, with canned answers, talking about it. Then show the game again, move on to the next one. Sometimes you might get multiple talking points, multiple talking sections about a single game, three different trailers for what they're doing. And if there was like for video game press conferences, if there was one good thing coming out of COVID, it was that like everybody just started doing their own thing. And then like the UB4s that we were getting more of them, and were they always great? No, but they were pretty quick paced. And like some of the stuff that we got the information. It was basically all this information that was shown could have been shown in like I don't know 40 minutes, 35 minutes. Um, and instead it was stretched out to almost an hour and 20 minutes. Um, the I feel so bad for the people on that stage because they're not allowed to talk. It's just the most like they are completely scripted. They have no freedom. They just look like and feel like, and they're not. These are not. I get like you maybe why you want to do that because these are people that work on games. These aren't people meant to go on stages and talk to people with millions of people watching, critiquing everything they're saying. So I get why you want to keep it a little scripted, but it's like Gables, you and we are professional wrestling fans. We've watched a lot of WWE in our time, and we have seen like because they are pretty heavy on like the last like 15 years or so of like scripting all the promos, and you watch these
Yes.
people have back and forth promos in wrestling, and it is like nobody talks like that. Like it just
No.
like certain words are banned. Like the way they enunciate like certain things they say. It's just like everybody sounds the same. Like because nobody has their own voice because everything's scripted. It's all written by the same people. Everybody sounds the same, but none of them sound like people. And that's exactly what this was, where everybody just sounded the same. Had to hit certain key phrases, certain like selling points, and it was so overly scripted that I didn't feel so overly rehearsed that nobody felt authentic. Nobody like I believe these people are excited for this and want people to be excited for these games, and I think a lot of these games look good, but like nobody was allowed to like show that. They
It
were
was
so focused
soulless.
on hitting those points, hitting those words. Yeah, like I said, it felt soulless because that's the way it was scripted basically. And like I said, I feel bad for those people. In like even like they would say a joke or they would say something and they were expecting a laugh or expecting applause, and you would like it would just be silence, or then you get the people that just kind of like clap, like oh, which was a clap there, okay, then we start clapping, like, and it's
Like
just
that one creator.
yeah, like I just felt bad for these people because like this, you know, the guy that did the Captain Laser show thing, like I heard multiple people like I saw tweets about like a lot of people love this guy. I guess he's a pretty popular
Yeah.
YouTuber. I don't know anything about him, but like people say he's a character. He's really funny. He's really great. And it's like,
But
but
in that
that's
presentation,
no. It's like this is probably what this guy was wrote down and told to say, and that's what it is. But yeah, I give it like a 5 out of 10. But like I said, the stuff shown, I'm a lot higher on. But man, you know, one of my biggest gripes about all these things is just don't waste my fucking time.
mhm.
And it just a lot of like it's just the way it was shot. Even like I said, like you have you do like a CGI trailer, have a person talk over some gameplay, and they kept like zooming in on the person talking
Mhm.
with the gameplay and the screen behind them, but you couldn't see the gameplay in the back. So it's like, why are we like zoom? Like I don't like I can listen. I don't need to see the guy to listen to him. I can watch like just do a full screen of the gameplay, and let me like, then I can listen to the guy. Like why am I staring at this guy's face? And I'm not listening to him because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck's going on in the screen behind him.
Or
Uh,
even better, do like some streamers would do. Just have the dude like in the bottom left hand corner right there, smalled out, so I can watch the predominant gameplay. Even
yeah,
that would be better than say just staring at some dude's face where you're trying to make out the game behind him because you don't give a shit what he's saying.
yeah, or even like I'm interested in maybe what the guy's saying, but it's like, but I can't focus on what the guy's saying because I can't. I'm here to watch the game, and instead I'm looking at this guy while the shit's playing in the background. I can't see. Yeah.
Mm.
So, anyways, let's get into it. I will say though, I thought the beginning was actually kind of cool. Like they did like the whole intro thing, like it was a Dance intro, but it was all
Uh-huh.
like it was like pre-recorded stuff, and it had the woman there like at the end of the dance, and then like it like seamlessly cut from her being in this bedroom to she's on stage, and you like didn't even like I actually thought it was really well done, and that to me might have been the peak of the show because it was like I'm like oh shit this is pretty cool, just the way that was shot. Anyways, let's get into it, Gables.
Mm.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Got a lot of gameplay for this. Sounds like so. I'm neither one of us are Avatar people. Like I've never seen the
No.
movies. So just take that for what it is. But you play as a Navi warrior. Like it sounds like she gets captured by humans, and then like she gets stuck in like 15 years of cryo sleep and comes out and like everything's changed. It is a first person game. Kind of looks like you can do some parkour, but it's like mostly like a shooter and you have like a bow and arrow and like it basically just looks a lot like a I believe so. Was this Massive as well? Yeah, this is yeah, Massive. Okay, wow. Massive and Lightstorm Entertainment working together for this game, which is crazy. But this game is coming out December 7th. Um, we saw a bunch of gameplay of them like taking out like bases and flying around these worlds. Like I thought the game, like just looking at like I'm not being a fan of Avatar. I thought the game looks beautiful. Um, looks really good, but it really is like it for lack of a better phrase here, it is Far Cry Avatar, which
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us like I'm someone that fell off of a lot of Ubisoft games after I loved them 7 8 years ago because that style just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and ballooned and it is what it is now, and but those games are more popular now than what they were when I played them because people love that shit and there's an audience for them, and I could see a lot of people buying into this thing, buying into Avatar because like it's Avatar and it looks great. It looks like the gameplay is gonna be good. It's just a matter of how much do you want to get into that loop and how like there's people out there that will spend. I have friends that like put 100 hours into the Far Cry games and Assassin's Creed games because they love that shit. So
Yeah.
I think
Understandable.
there's an audience there. But what was your feelings about this one, Gables?
I thought that the game looked fine. I mean, it was beautiful. It definitely was well presented in regards to the visual fidelity. However, when it comes to the actual gameplay itself, that's where it fell off with me because, like you were stated, and I thought it was well put when it comes to comparing it to Far Cry, because it definitely felt like a Ubisoft open world game at points because you had bases you're clearing out. There was definitely elements of like certain mission structure we had to go forth and like navigate throughout the terrain and stuff. And you know what? Riding rides and stuff, kind of like a Panzer Dragoon, sort of like S type of thing. You're flying like this aerial creature and stuff, and doing this and do that. But overall, it just came off as generic, and also it just came up and just like it felt like it was superficial, really, because it's like you have the look of everything looking fairly nice, everything else, but the gameplay and the hook surrounding it, from what we saw in the initial trailer, did not latch on to me personally.
Yeah,
But yeah, it felt like it was a boring type of game that where it shouldn't be. I mean, I understand it's based upon a specific property, but yeah, it's I really don't really see myself putting time and effort into this game because of I'm concerned that the gameplay loop would be kind of similar to what I played, say, with Ghost Recon Wildlands or Far Cry or Assassin's Creed. It's like it's that same type of feeling I get watching this game as I did with those games. And the thing about it was you had two other games that were like Assassin's Creed, including Assassin's Creed Mirage.
yeah, yeah. I think like this is like for me personally like this is a game I'm never gonna play. Um, but like I'm looking at it more so for like people that are gonna play this game, and like I think this could be a really good game for a lot of people, especially like this probably get a new audience into a different audience than what typically they're used to,
Right.
because people can see Avatar, and we're in this world now where it's crazy. Like 15, really up until about a decade or so ago, like we were always getting like these shitty, IP like games, and they would just be mediocre or awful, typically awful, and people would buy them. And now, as games got more expensive and longer to make, we got away from that. And it's funny now, the last like really 5 years, we've kind of gone back, we've kind of shot back now towards that. We're like, but now we're actually getting like not 100% time, but typically these games are like big budget and quality. Um, yeah, I think I don't think this is like going to be like a game that's like maybe what we're talking about, at game of the year time, or even maybe 2024. But I do think that this probably will be a very successful game from them. And
Probably passable. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm thinking that, like I wouldn't be shocked if this game's like like I'm looking at this like taking the IP out of it. It's gonna be like where like the other Far Cry games are at, and like the high sevens, the low eights is what I'm looking at for
Yeah.
that. And but like I said, people love that type of shit. So I would not be shocked if this game blows up. People, oh, you can also do multiplayer as well. So
Ah.
it is 2 player. Next up here, X Defiant. They said there was an open. So they've been doing a lot of closed betas, and from my understand is the game people are actually really loving this game. Like it's actually people have
Ah.
been really liking it. They've been doing a bunch of betas recently to like really. It sounds like they've been doing a really good job of like everything I've heard from people is like when I
Right.
read about this game and what's going on is they've done a great job of listening to the people in the beta. Normally, like the betas are just like stress the servers, and we're not actually like they're really just demos. Um, and this actually are like betas, and they said there's actually be an open beta, the 21st to the 23rd,
Right.
so next week, and the game will be releasing sometime this summer. Uh, they also gave a roadmap for the next year where they said that they were going to have 4 new factions, 12 new weapons, and 12 new maps. So basically, like a map a month is what we're looking at here. And kind of with the idea of like, I don't, for people that don't know, X-Defiant looks so much very much like a Call of Duty style game, but like they are taking uh, all their different like IPs and like basically there's different groups of people, factions you can play as. So there's going to be like just using like there's going to be a Splinter Cell faction, there's going to be a Division
Mhm.
faction, there's going to be like an Assassin's Creed faction, ball, like so on and so forth. It's basically like if Ubisoft made their own Smash Brothers, but in a Call of Duty shooter,
Ah.
which could be cool. And like I said, people like it very much looks like they are going for their own Call of Duty here. And I don't know, like I thought it looks like I don't know. This is definitely a game that I'll probably never play, or if I do play, it's gonna be for a little bit and then bounce off of. But uh, I don't know. I feel like this, Ubisoft has been chasing that white whale of that live service game, and I honestly think this might be one of their best shots.
Honestly, from what I initially had saw, I kind of wish they would have showed more gameplay as opposed to like just say some streamers playing the stuff and then just constantly talking about it.
Yeah.
The premise of it seems interesting though, but yeah, ain't my cup of tea, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hey, this could be scratching that itch for those that want an alternative to Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like I said, I think this. I from what I understand is there's been a lot of people frustrated with like since they did like the new Warzone when they switch over to the new
Yep.
one. And we've obviously seen the mainline games kind of been hot and cold over the last handful of years. So
Yep.
um, this could be like I'm not saying like Call of Duty's not going anywhere. Um, you know, but this could be a chance for them to grab a little bit of that audience that's frustrated, and maybe they can keep some of that audience. So, but next up here, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Um, I look at like this show, this Ubisoft Forward, and I'm like, man, the two best things I think shown, Prince of Persia and Star Wars Outlaws, um, were like revealed at other showcases. And I'm like, man,
They were
I
revealed at the Microsoft
well,
showcase.
and Prince of Persia was at the Summer Game Fest one. It's like, man,
That's true.
like that was awesome for them to get those. But I'm like, this we would be a lot higher on this thing if we didn't know about them
Right.
beforehand. And I get like maybe you want the Star Wars one does I doesn't I'm not saying it bothers me, but like I can see why they're thinking is like, hey, show this off here, and then that will put more like more people are gonna watch the Xbox One than Ubisoft thing. But if we can get
Yes.
more people to watch us now because we're gonna have this big Star Wars game that we're gonna show off at our event, I get that idea. But like Prince of Persia, they showed gameplay, they showed a good chunk of gameplay, and a release date and everything. Like we got the full kit caboodle about this game as a Summer Game Fest. So I was like, here it's like we got a CGI trailer, we got some more gameplay. We did see a little bit more of like some of the abilities that you're gonna have. Like there's that cool like ability where like almost kind of like rewind, but you rewind yourself, and like someone attacks and you can like hit a button and you'll bounce back to where you were like a second ago, and that will and then the attack will miss. Like this game looks phenomenal. I guess like actually people were saying that the game is actually pretty difficult, so it's gonna be pretty tough. Which
Huh.
I've heard a lot of people say the same thing like Metroid Dread. So um, yeah,
So it's
but
an authentic Prince of Persia game. Okay.
yeah, but I don't know. I think this game looks great. It's not a full $70 game. This is a $50 title. Um, coming out January 18th, and yeah, I think this game. I don't know if this is gonna be a game for me per se. I'm not the 2D Metroidvania guy at all, but I think I love the art style. I trust this is the Rayman team. I trust them to put out a good quality game. And yeah, I think this game looks like it could be pretty awesome. What about you?
I feel like this game has a possibility of being one of those Game of the Year contenders.
Mm.
Personally, it has that potential, and
Okay.
quite honestly, I say that is because this is something both radically different, but it also remains faithful to the original Prince of Persia series. And because this seems like a natural evolution of like Prince of Persia in general, I feel like that this is even more so of kind of like a surprise, where before, we were mostly thinking about like that Prince of Persia, like Sands of Time remake and stuff, and that was predominantly inside the limelight and stuff, and that was what was heavily scrutinized. So this game comes out of nowhere, revealed and stuff, and it comes out early January, like January 18th.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those ones for first thing coming to 2024. I want to play because I'm a fan of like difficult, like say Metroidvania style games. I definitely love games with good gimmicks, and because it implements that sort of time travel factor, and you're facing off against people that other like characters in the game and stuff that will have that type of same thing but use it like differently and stuff. I'm kind of fascinated to see how this concept of time travel is going to be manipulated between like characters and also between like different type of terrains, but between the environment and also with boss battles too. And that gives it enough of like a hook, a gimmick, or something like that that'll keep me sort of invested in wanting to play it. I kind of feel like that's going to happen with a lot of people coming into this Prince of Persia game and stuff because not a lot of people have played some bit of the classic Prince of Persia games, and
No.
I'm talking about predating Sands of Time and stuff. I'm talking about like the old like the first time I ever played a Prince of Persia game that was on NES, and it was balls difficult.
Yeah.
But at that same point, yeah, it's definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah. And for me, like personally, like like I said, like this is not a big thing for me per se, but like it will be. It can be because like I've talked about like I was someone that like really hardcore got into Ubisoft in like 2014 when we had Rayman we had like Rayman Legends right before like I think 2013 we had Child of Light, we had Valiant Hearts. I yeah, I was someone that liked Watch Dogs. The obviously Assassin's Creed games I always liked, but I feel like they really expanded it and they really found a cool niche there. Obviously Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, and stuff like that. Um, and like, but like a lot of these like cool smaller, these great smaller UBR games is like a lot of people like me have been clamoring for is like go back to that, and maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna sit there and like it just gives me a little bit of hope that maybe hey maybe like they realize maybe we got to go back to some of the things that kind of got us to the like that we were a tier one franchise that kind of got us in there. So maybe having cool little things that kind of little smaller games that can really expand our portfolio is what get there. And also bring back Prince of Persia because it's been how fucking long since we've had a Prince of Persia game? Like a decade.
Let's see, Prince of Persia, the last major Prince of
Was
Persia
it the movie
game we
game?
had.
Was there one based off the movie? I can't remember.
I'm not sure if there was one based upon the movie.
Remember
I mean,
the
there was,
360 one, like 2008 or seven or eight.
and then there's one that was, I think it had like a PS3 and also a Wii copy as well. I
That was
want to
the
say
that was the third Prince of Persia in the trilogy.
no,
Um,
it wasn't. I mean, there was another one that was, there was another one I think after that too.
oh okay.
It was after the third one, but I'm
I just
not
remember the
sure. But
one
it's
called Prince of Persia that was extremely mediocre. That
yeah,
was like
yeah. That
2008.
that was 2008 and stuff. But I think it has been literally over 10 years since we've had a decent like or just any type of Prince of Persia game in
At all.
general.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's literally a whole generation of gamers right now that don't even know what the fuck this game is. So, this could be a great way to get them in. So yeah, moving on here though, we talked about already the Captain Laserhawk, the Blood Dragon remix, which I don't know. I believe this is like the Castlevania showrunner and producer. Yeah, is
Mm-hmm.
working on this one. So I mean, there's good pedigree behind it. This is a Netflix show. Um,
Yep.
I don't really know what the fuck it's supposed to be. Like I know what Blood Dragon is, and I like Blood Dragon back in the day. Uh, you know, 14 years ago when I played it. You know, something around that time frame, maybe 2010 or so. Um, but yeah, like I thought this whole presentation obviously was incredibly awkward. We talked about it and cringy. It kind of looks like they're taking a bunch of different stuff from a lot of different. Like there's like a creature in like a Assassin's Creed like outfit with a hood and everything, and I don't know. I don't know what this game is supposed, or what this show is supposed to be exactly. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if this game is good, like, or this movie's good, or show's good. I'm not sure what the fuck if it's a movie or a show at this point. It is a show. I'm reading the thing right now. But we've seen what really well made shows and animes can do for these IPs, and you do that. The only problem is, though, it's not a specific IP. Like Captain Laserhawk is not a game that Ubisoft puts out. I get it's a bunch of different ones, so maybe they're hoping like we do a really good job and we have like Assassin's Creed, when I say Mega Man, Watch Dogs and stuff like that. Like, yeah, maybe we can get them all kind of jump into all these different games. But I don't know. Maybe I don't fucking. I mean, people are gonna like see Captain Laserhawk and then like you know regular people, Joe Schmoes that don't care too much about video games at all. How many people are gonna like, oh, Captain Laserhawk, and then find Ubisoft out of that? You know, it's not like The Witcher, and then oh, cool, I'm looking into The Witcher. Oh, there's a book series and there's multiple video games that are supposed to be phenomenal. Fuck yeah. So
Hmm.
I don't know. What was your opinion on this one, Giles?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have no interest in this show at all, and that's because I understand this is based upon Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, and stuff like that, but the way it was presented, the way the show looked, which was definitely felt like kind of a step down than what this man's previous works has been, especially with the Castlevania series that was definitely filled with love and filled with like a whole bunch of different references from the past games, full on different like character line, like stories and stuff like that conveyed
Hmm.
fairly well for the most part. This one comes across as like a cheesy Adult Swim sort of knockoff, and I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an anime guy whatsoever, so it's not gonna be for me. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's got decent pedigree behind who's working on it, so
Right, right.
maybe there's a chance there. But yeah, I don't. Like I said,
It could still be a chance, yeah.
yeah, but who knows? Um, Next up, the Division Resurgence. This is like I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is like, is this gonna be like Division 3? Is this like an expansion? What is this standalone thing? Like we know they have like Heartland coming out, like the free to play game. Um,
Yeah.
so this is actually a mobile game that is coming to iOS and Android. I think did they say Steam? No, they did not say Steam. Um, but this is coming. It's all free to play. But what I understand though, this is actually like the people in the beta were fairly
Mm.
positive about this game. Like it's actually a really well made like mobile game. Like you can use the Backbone controller for this, and it actually works pretty well. Works pretty good. Um, and this isn't just like some shitty like this isn't like Candy Crush. Like we're seeing like a lot of different gaming studios try to get into the mobile market in a different way, where instead of just like these really just ripping off other popular uh, mobile games like like runner games or Candy Crush games or Match 3, whatever you want to call them. Like they're putting out
Yeah.
smaller, pretty well made versions of their already popular IP, and finding a way to tie those into mobile. And I don't know, like this is definitely I don't think a thing for any of us, uh, but I don't know, maybe I think this can find an audience. I think it is coming out in June. So sometime this month, I believe. Anything for this one, Gables?
No, not at all, really. I mean, once I was interested until it was like Flash as a mobile game. I'm like,
Yeah, I thought it actually looked
yeah,
pretty decent
probably
the
not.
gameplay. Then I'm like, oh wait, this is actually a mobile game. Oh okay. So yeah,
Therein lies the problem. I thought this was actually an expansion for like the Division 2 and stuff, but
yeah. Well,
no.
I'm like, is this New York? What like are we going back? What the fuck are we doing? Oh, it's a different thing entirely. Okay. Um. Yeah. Next up here, Skull and Bones. We got um a band came out and called Home Free. I want to give them some props. Home Free is the name of the band. They performed
Yeah.
their song called Skull and Bones. And I will say that song pretty fucking cool. I'll give them some props.
Yeah.
But
It was the best part of that
yeah,
whole thing.
but it was just like I'm like okay, it's kind of cool, but it's like man, this doesn't need to be here. Like why is this here? This yeah, like this is the problem. Like the biggest issue is like when we keep talking about like everything we're talking about here, nothing looked terrible. Everything actually looked pretty good, I would say. But it was just like so awkwardly paced, so much downtime, so much like stand. I'm so happy, Gables, that we didn't live react to this. Um, or like maybe like like you didn't do it by yourself or I didn't do it by myself. Cause I remember like I watched that UB4 last year. That was an hour and a half, and it was more. It was like literally like there was that 45-minute long canned interview about Assassin's Creed. I think celebrating the 15th anniversary, and I was like fuming angry from like I don't want to be watching this at all, let alone live reacting to it. So I'm really
Yeah, I
happy
know,
that
right?
that one of us isn't stuck here by themselves doing this. But I thought the song was pretty cool, but why is it here? And then you literally did not show any gameplay of this game, no updates about this game for a game that was supposed to come out. A game that was announced like I think 7 years ago. Um, this has come out last year. Then I mean it's been delayed I believe 9 times. I've lost count. I literally I think it's 9 times at this point. And all you announced
Yes.
was that there is a closed beta on August 25th through the 28th.
Yeah, that's all they did. They just basically had a musical performance, put the beta time inside
Yeah,
there, and
it's
that
like
was it.
I know they're legally obligated to release this game at this point because they want to give back a bunch of money to the Singapore government. So maybe they're legally
Uh-huh.
obligated to show this at every press conference they do until the game comes out. And this is what they had. I don't know. Um,
This is them poop
yeah.
stalking it, though.
Next up here, Roller Champions. It's still alive. It's not dead. And oddly enough, one of the most shocking parts of the showcase, Jet Set Radio is gonna be. There's gonna be a tie-in there with Roller Champions, and it
Who
actually looked
knew?
kind of cool uh, for a game I will never play.
Oh yeah, I was kind of on the same monikers and stuff. Yeah, it's like they got the deal with Sega to use Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, which good for them. Good
That's
for
just
them.
funny.
And they're like we've seen the leaks of the Jet Set Radio remake, so good way to maybe they want to probably throw the game back into the mindset of people, but maybe pick a game people play next time. Um, Next up here, Riders Republic. They're adding skateboarding to the game, um, which it actually looked pretty good. Like looked like pretty. I mean, we only saw like I don't know, like 20 seconds, but I'm like, oh, looks doesn't look bad, doesn't look terrible, doesn't look like Tony Hawk 5. I'm not gonna sit there and say it looks like fucking Tony Hawk 3 or like the remakes, but I don't know, it looked pretty decent. And everything I heard about the game is it's pretty good. It's just like there's not a lot to keep making you come back to the game. So I don't know that there's probably some people out there that are excited to at least check this out. What about you?
At least they provide support and an additional mode so people can try that one out. I mean, that's just the thing about it. I mean, it wasn't really advertised that great. Plus, I don't really hear anybody really talking about Rider Republic. I heard like the initial things at launch, but it pretty much was one of those wayside games where people played, they got what they wanted out of it, and then they just went
Yeah, it
on
was
to
a game that
something
came out
else.
in like the fall, I believe, and just kind of came out and like people talked about it that day, and they never talked about it again. Um, I'll give
Hmm.
Ubisoft credit; they keep updating games long after people stop playing them. So, um, the
Hmm.
Crew Motorfest, we got some gameplay for this one. It is coming. Fuck, what's the release date? September 14th. Um, it's
Hmm.
gonna be taking place in Hawaii. Like I said, it's very much like a Forza Horizon style game. Um, you know, I've always kind of like not really dismissed it, but I didn't really pay attention to this franchise before. I know the games actually review pretty well. People like them. I did not realize
Right.
this franchise is actually really popular. The so there's only been
Yeah, I didn't really know that
so there's
either.
only been this is the third one, and the first two have combined sold nearly 30 million copies.
Oof, that must about not be in the
I
U.S.
don't, I don't know, like, or, I mean, but it's we always say we talk all the time. There's some gaming is so big nowadays that there's these games that we never heard of that are like making $1 billion a year in profit. So, I don't know. The Crew is
Yeah.
definitely is like quietly one of Ubisoft's maybe the most popular franchises. So, but we got some gameplay for that. The game looks cool. Like it definitely, yeah, like I said, it looks very much like a Forza Horizon style game, but based in Hawaii, which I don't know, sounds like a kind of a cool prospect. The key thing about the Crew is like you can like ride motorcycles. You can they have F1 cars in this game. You can just you
Right.
can go. on dirt tracks. You can ride 4-wheeler. So that's the big thing is like you can pretty much do everything. I believe like in the older ones, like the first ones, like the big things like you can fly in the game too. Um, so I think they've kind of scaled that back a little bit and kind of kept it more ground based. But I don't know, nothing. Just for me, it's like I had a great time with like Forza Horizon 5, just dicking around in that game. Like that was the type of game like, and I think the crew easily could be that, but obviously Forza had the advantage of just being on Game Pass. And it was like perfect game, came out at a perfect time, um, where there wasn't really a lot coming out, and I got really into that game for like 5 or 6 days, and I put like 15 hours into it till the next thing came. Kind of like filled that spot. I had a great time. It's a great game. It was IGN's Game of the Year. It was the highest reviewed game on like Metacritic and OpenCritic in 2021. Forza Horizon 5. Unfortunately for the crew, it's coming out September 14th, which Gables, we were talking about this the other day. September, there's no there's no there's no there's no space for anything, and
No,
it's like, yeah, like it's this September, October especially are just jam packed with shit. Um,
this is the kiss of death for
yeah,
this
so
game.
it's like I think it's unfortunately it's like it's not even gonna have like its time to like shine like when reviews come out or when like shortly after like when it actually releases like it's coming out right like a week after Starfield, the week before Mortal Kombat, Liza P. There's a couple other games that have like that are coming out like that same week as well, and it's like this game's literally gonna launch. The reviews are gonna come out right when Starfield's coming out for people to play, and the reviews for Mortal Kombat and like Lies P and shit are gonna be coming out right when this game is releasing. So it's like there's gonna be an audience. Like obviously we are the more of the hardcore fans when it comes to video games. So this is like I said, like the crew was something I never really even thought about outside of seeing it at Ubisoft events, and it's quietly an extremely popular franchise. So we can easily be wrong, but I do feel like you know games like Starfield is gonna be a big game for everybody, not just hardcore gamers. Mortal Kombat is the highest selling fighting game of all. Mortal Kombat 11 was the best selling fighting game of all time. So it's not like it's coming around, a dead period. So it can easily be overshadowed, which is unfortunate for them. Um, moving on here, Gables is gone putting his doggo to the bed here. Um, moving on here though, we had Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. They mentioned they were going to be showing this game off. They announced that they were working on this a long time ago. It's coming to the MetaQuest 2. I'm kind of shocked that PlayStation didn't find a way to get this on the PSVR 2, which maybe they are, but they announced it here. But this is the VR game. We got look. There's three different protagonists you can play as. You can play as in Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. You can play as Connor, Cassandra, and Ezio from the previous Assassin's Creed games. Um, it was very weird where it's like they showed a CGI trailer of like you like do parkour and like jumping and like doing assassinations, and then the guy came out and was like,
Yeah,
"This is your first time seeing gameplay of Assassin's Creed Nexus." I'm like, I don't think we did there. I think we just saw a CG trailer that looks pretty cool in CG. I don't think we're gonna be doing any of that shit in VR. So I don't want to. I'm not gonna poo poo the game because the game could be good. I'm gonna poo poo the presentation because it fucking sucked. Like, there was just nothing here.
yeah.
What they spent so much time on this to literally show us nothing.
I know, right? They literally did show us nothing with that
Yeah.
VR game.
So yeah, what the fuck? Next up here, Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, which there's so many Assassin's Creed games that they've announced, plus the ones that have leaked, that I didn't. I was like, oh, is this like the next big one that's coming out? No, this is the mobile one. Codename Jade, set in ancient China. No date given. This is the free-to-play mobile game. Like I said, with the Division Resurgence, we've seen a lot of these big companies really try to get into that mobile market and do smaller versions of their games for free to play on mobile, and there's been some successes out there. We got like 7 seconds of gameplay, and it looked pretty good for 7 seconds of gameplay of a Assassin's Creed mobile game, but I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was in the same boat. I just didn't really give a crap about the other Assassin's Creed game, like Assassin's Creed Jade and stuff. I mean, especially playing as different like things and stuff. But yeah, not interesting at all.
Yeah. Um, Next up, though, we have Assassin's Creed Mirage. Uh, we already got the date, the PlayStation showcase that we had. It's going on October 12th. Um, we got like 8 minutes, I think is what it was, of some gameplay here. It definitely looks, this is a prequel to Assassin's Creed Valhalla with you play Basim, who is a character from the game. I put like 15 hours into Valhalla, and I realized I was like a fraction of a percent through the game, and I'm like, I'm just done. But I don't know. It's $50 game. This is not a they like the big thing they're harping about this is like it is back to basics Assassin's Creed, which has me excited. Like I've talked about previous podcasts, like it just sucks it's coming out, in October when it's just surrounded by 15 other games that I'm really excited to play that are also going to take. They're also pretty big games. But yeah, like I thought everything that's shown here looks great. The gameplay we got looks awesome. Like now they have like you can take out like three guards. Like you can set it up where you just do it really fast all at once. I like the fact that like it's going back to like Assassin's Creed One, where you're now, I love Assassin's Creed One is not my favorite game to play, but I think for what it was, where it's like you like, all right, you got to take this guy out. Here's the reason why. Here's some story. Here's some missions you got to do to like learn information about him, to then, figure out where he's gonna be and like what's gonna happen, and then take him out, and then get out of there. Like this is going back to that, which I love that idea, and I'm excited to get back into that. Uh, just fuck, man. Like I don't know when I'm gonna have time to get to that.
This
Cause
definitely,
go ahead.
yeah, dude, this definitely is a good return to form to this game. Not a lot of the RPG bullshit from the past couple of entries and stuff. This is definitely giving me a same good vibes as I say in Assassin's Creed 2 or like Assassin's Creed like 4, to where it's like it's back to basics. It's more Assassin's Creed, yes, but yet it's kind of what a lot of fans of Assassin's Creed have wanted for quite a while now. It's like we want to play pure Assassin's Creed. We don't really want to like have this same old like leveling up and like all this random armor
The
or
Witcher.
pieces of weapon that just we don't want a Witcher style Assassin's Creed again. We just want what made the game fun and wanted us to invest in the game to begin with. And
Yeah.
that was the story and like the stealth action elements.
Yeah, and it's like it just sucks that like Assassin's Creed is bigger than ever because of those games.
Yep.
And like I think for a lot of more of the hardcore audience like me that, I played, that played and beat all of them, and then we hear a lot of them like a lot of those fans have kind of fallen off to the wayside, but they're willing to lose a lot of those fans because they got so many more fans now. Um, but yeah, this definitely feels like hey, there's one for you guys. And I am a person dying of thirst in the desert for Assassin's Creed game. And you know what? I will take it, and I'm happy for it. And I don't know, I think but it doesn't look like this is like a game that they're just shitting out. It looks like there's actually gonna be a quality game here, and yeah,
Yes.
I'm pumped to play it. Just I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna be able to play it. And then the last but not least here, Star Wars Outlaws. We got 10 minutes of gameplay. Um, we are playing as I believe her name Kay, yeah, Kay, and the little creature she has with her, Nyx, who's adorable. We got like 10, like I said, about 10 minutes of gameplay. She is just like she's like a Han Solo type. We talked about this during the Xbox breakdown we did last night. Uh, where for me, like the thing I love most about this, honestly, more than anything, is the fact that this one it's taking place between 5 and 6, where so many like like side things, not based, not in the movie, not episodes of the movies, but like the TV shows, the comics, the video games. So many take place between 3 and 4. Um, and I love even like Jedi Survivor and stuff takes place between 3 and 4, and the fact this takes place between 5 and 6, something that post the prequels, I don't know if we've had any games in the video game, from the Star Wars video game side that are in that era. So I like the
Yeah,
fact, and
really.
also you're this outlaw. You're not a good person. You are someone just trying to, you're willing to do shit jobs and not necessarily legal things to get by. And like I love everything shown here. This is from Massive. This is the Division people, and to me, and I think a lot of people were assuming, oh, this is gonna be a Division Star Wars game, and that's exactly what
Right.
I thought it was gonna be. And I see this, and it looks like it's going to be a single player game. Definitely, kind of looks like there could be some Far Cry or like some like that kind of like Ubisoft map game elements to it. But I love like her going into like into like the bunker, taking all those enemies, like sneaking around. Kind of gave me like almost this was almost like when Amy Hennig that was the main person behind the Uncharted games. Like
Yeah,
this looks like the game that she was making for EA, the Star Wars game she was making for EA. Um, which I mean, maybe I don't know if it's gonna be that based on like I think what she could have done with the story. I don't know if anybody could top what she could have done, but I think kind of looking at this, what we had looks awesome. Like seamlessly, like like getting in your ship and there's like flying. There's like just seamlessly getting your ship and then flying off the planet into space, getting into a space battle. Um, just looked awesome. I liked the character quite a bit. Like this is all in 10 minutes, obviously. But I like the fact we don't see a lot of like that seamless raw gameplay. We always see like little snippets here and there. We don't get like the people. Like we always get the cuts of like some snippets and some trailers. Where like here's 5 seconds here, then there's 3 seconds here, here's
right,
20 seconds here. Like this was just like 10 minutes of just like you're doing a mission, and then you're gonna do this thing. You're gonna set up the mission. You're gonna drive to that on your speeder. You're gonna do the mission. Then you gotta get the Empire's after you now. You gotta get on the ship and get the fuck out of here and get in a space fight. And boom, it's title screen Star Wars Outlaws 2024. I love this demo we got here. And like obviously bad news can happen. Maybe this isn't. They can easily have tricked us. But right now, I am riding high off this fucking Star Wars Outlaws. I would say outside of maybe, I mean, Starfield was awesome, but this might be my game of the show so far that we've seen this weekend. What about you?
well, it's definitely the surprise, that's for sure. But I will say, and I will note here that the seamless transition between going for it, doing that battle scene, going and transitioning to like completing the objective and stuff, and then that seamless transition from there, and then all of a sudden going to space and stuff and having battles against TIE fighters and stuff like that. That was well done. I will say that sequence was well done. How it's going to translate to the final game, still not sure, but it's definitely was a fantastic trailer.
Yeah. The perfect way to end the Ubisoft Forward. There was just no topping that. But yeah, overall, like we said, we were mostly positive on everything shown here. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that maybe we don't care about. You're gonna have the mobile games. You're gonna have shit like like the Captain Laser Show stuff. Every showcase is gonna have that. Like, they're gonna show you the stuff that you don't really care about because they know they have the most eyeballs on the product they're gonna have at any other point of the year. So you're always gonna have that. But I think you look at what, like I said, on paper, a really good event. Like, I would say that like on paper, this was like a 7 out of 10, for the
Mm-hmm.
showcase of like what the games they showed. But man, I had a 5 out of 10 time because there was just so much downtime um, between showing the gameplay of just listening to people talk and not talking like humans. Um, so any final thoughts on this Ubisoft Forward, Gables?
Honestly, I'd be much more excited about their product if not for their soulless type of presentation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it was just game, like yeah, I would have came a lot been a lot higher coming out of this one. And like at one point, Gables like I wasn't able to watch it live, but I avoided like going online and like seeing any spoilers. So when I got home, it was already over, and I started watching it, and like I was like pretty far into it. I was like, man, I gotta be getting pretty close to the end here, and I paused it to go to the bathroom, and I looked, and I was like 37 minutes in or something like that, and I was like,
Ugh.
oh my god, I have like 40 more minutes of this. How is this possible? Um,
I'm
yes,
glad I didn't stream this damn thing because
yeah.
that would have been
I
terrible.
mean, I'm upset you didn't because I would have loved to watch it. Watch you. It would have been payback for me having to watch the Ubisoft one last year and me just sitting through an hour and a half of nothing happenings. So game updates for games that no one were playing, and then 45 minutes of people talking about Assassin's Creed like they're normal people, but really they're just robots. Um, yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode, guys. We will be back. If you're watching us live on YouTube, like, follow, subscribe. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else pods or casts you're listening to us on, checking those show notes down below. Check us out. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We're on all those places. Check us out on YouTube. Hit those 5 stars. Give us a nice little review, nice little comments. Share with your friends. More you guys do stuff like that, more really helps out the show. More people can find us. So yeah, that will wrap it up for us for right now. If you are on YouTube right now watching us live, don't go too far. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to do a breakdown of the Capcom showcase. And same, that'll be up, also going up on the podcast feeds, much like this Ubisoft Forward is breakdown. So keep an eye out for that one. But I was Tyler.
I've been Colonel Gables. So until a little bit later, everyone, enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, and Gables.
Yep.
Fuck Hulk Hogan.
Fuck Hulk Hogan. Break his back. Make him humble.